EAGLES, Eagles.
And it's a football Monday here on Birds 365. Welcome everyone into the JAKIB Sports Network along with John McMullen. I'm Joe Krause sitting in the last week for Zander Krause, who will be back in the chair right after the 4th of July. John, I did verify that we will, from a programming standpoint, be here Monday through Friday today, this week, leading into the 4th of July, and then we will not have a show on Monday. Zander returns into the box on Tuesday. Subject to final verification and change, but I think
all right. Sounds good. We'll power through. We'll power through. Give some people something to listen to.
Absolutely. As we bring you Birds 365, what's on the agenda this week, John? John, for you, I saw some great stuff that you were putting out on SI. Over the last, I don't know if it was over the last couple of days or you just started posting about it, but it was getting some good traction on social media as you start to prep and prepare for camp, which I think now is, I think I have it up on my screen here for Eagles Daily. That's 76 days until kickoff. What's the day count? So it's got to be 31 days until they get
so today is June 29th, so we're less than a month. Reporting day for the Eagles is July 28th, so we're officially less than a month away from training camp. First practice will be July 29th, so we're exactly 1 month away, and that's how quickly it's going to roll up on you. And things will obviously heat up from there. So, but to your point that Ed Kratz and I have been doing for about 5 years now, as we, head into July in training camp, we do the list of the best 25 Eagles players heading into the season. And I think it's a little bit more interesting this year because there's a little bit of a changing of the guard at the top. And A.J. Brown being most notably. But I also think there's a little bit of a sea train change in the fact that, you have some veteran players who have the big reputation and maybe some of the younger players are passing them over. So that starts today, and Jeff Kerr is now a part of it as well. So you have 3 different visions of who the best 25 players. And I think, this is list season. You see lists all over this. But I think it's important to have a definition for the list. Because one thing I don't like is impactful. Like you see most impactful. I don't like that. And I'll tell you why, Krause, because it's always the quarterback. Mm-hmm. That's the most impactful. But doesn't matter if you have the best quarterback, and this has nothing to do with Jalen Hurts, or the 32nd best quarterback. He's the most important player on that team. So to me, that's not a very valuable list. We know. All right, we get it. We know how important the position is. So Jalen Hurts is without a doubt the most important or impactful player for the Philadelphia Eagles because he's the quarterback. That'll be the same if he gets hurt for a particular week and it's Tanner McKee. Guess who the most impactful player on the Philadelphia Eagles will be that week? Tanner McKee.
Right.
Or Andy Dalton. That's why I don't find those types of lists valuable. So what this list is as I describe it and I've defined it, who does their job, I call it Bill Belichick rules. Who does their particular job the best? That's the definition. So if you're a quarterback, do you do a better job than a running back? If you're a running back, do you do a better job than the tight end at his particular job? I think that's the fairest way to do it. That's the way we have been doing it. Now, everybody's personal sort of things get, that's human nature. Ed, particularly, like he'll lean more on past performance than I will. I try to look. To me, this is about 2026, not about 2023. It's not about 2024. It's not about 2022. It's who's the best player today. That's how I try to do it. And as I said, Jeff's going to be on the show. He's going to be involved. And he can get here as early as 8:15 doing some stuff on air. So you tell me, Krause, when do you want him in?
Tell him 8:30, just because I've got a call at 9. So if he can do 8:30, that would be great. You and I will take it up to 8:30, and then I'll punch out and then circle back with him circle back in the Birds 365 on the other side. John, in terms of the best at their job, that means the best at executing what is
it could be
responsibility, right?
Could be the punter, could be the kicker. It's not going to be the kicker coming off. Yeah, I mean it's it's not an even playing field, as we said. Obviously, there's more import to certain positions, but the goal is to find the best football players, the best pure football players, and to me, that means, all right, who does their job the best? And over the past few years, we've been doing it. It's been heavily, AJ's won it a couple times, Lane's won it a couple times. Those are, one guy's going to be in the Hall of Fame and the other guy's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Yeah, they've done their job at a very high level for a long time. Now, in the case of AJ, if he was coming back, he wouldn't be number one this year because he didn't have the same type of, at least on my list, because he didn't have the same type of year he usually does. Obviously, he's not in the mix now. Lane as well. Look, he missed half of last season. So, if you want to lean on past performance, well, Lane Johnson should be one on this group. But he shouldn't be one if you're leaning on entering the 2026 season. So that's sort of, I think it's important to explain how you do these things.
Yeah, and which one of the things I wanted to have a conversation with you about, and I think it actually is a good transition into that, into the convo. I was trying to take a below the surface look at what the offense is going to be this year, meaning what's the scheme that Mannion is going to insert. And I keep coming back to, when I'm thinking about that, I'm looking back on what Kellen Moore brought when he came in and why he had to adjust. And I'm just trying to figure all this out, just processing it. My thoughts aren't necessarily right or correct, but I'm trying to look at things on the surface, and I'm trying to figure out what Mannion's offense will be. And then I keep coming to the conclusion that seems to go against what people are saying, and that is Mannion's offense actually could be a huge positive for Jalen Hurts. And the reason I say that, if they're a run first offense and Jalen is under center more so than not, I kind of feel as though the offense, and I could be 100% wrong on this, so you can correct me. I kind of feel as though Jalen will find himself in a better position to make more off script plays, whether he's rolling out, whether it's an RPO, whatever the case may be, Jalen, I think, will get to use some of what his football ability is instead of trying to be a quarterback in an offense that doesn't necessarily suit his skill set. Now, I could be off, but I keep coming back to that, and that might be ignorance, but is there any truth to that? Do you see any value? And I guess the counter to that would be, so let me go back and look at, if this is McVay's offense, let me go back and look at, well, McVay or Hurts and Matthew Stafford are completely two different quarterbacks, and Stafford threw the ball and had 40-plus touchdowns or whatever it was last year, had a lot of passing yards. We know that's not Jalen Hurts, but that's the McVay offense. So bring me into the difference there, John. And first, to my thought process, am I way off with that, or close, or I'm just looking at it the wrong way?
Well, until you see it, nobody knows. But,
Yeah.
I would say you're being very optimistic. I mean, the more you're under center, the less likely off schedule stuff is going to come into play, at least purposefully. Well, that's redundant. Off schedule. You're never designed to be off schedule. But, if you're doing it from shotgun or pistol, it's a lot easier. You're not doing RPOs from under center. It doesn't work that way. It's a different style of play action. If you're comparing Sean McVay's scheme or Kyle Shanahan's scheme to what the Eagles have been running since, essentially very similar since Jalen Hurts took over, that offense is much more tempo driven, much more balls got to come out, much more structured, I would say. So that would limit off schedule somewhat, or at least by design. So I would say it's optimistic, but you never know. I mean, look, unfortunately, and one of the concerning things about last season was the elimination of the run aspect of Jalen Hurts' game, or certainly the downgrading of it. And, there's been a lot of talk. Where did that come from? Are the Eagles trying to protect him, extend his shelf life? Does Jalen himself not want to run as much? And it's probably a little bit of both. But the bottom line is he wasn't as effective without that part of his game being at the level it once was. And, it already fallen off. But, when he took over in 2021 and he was still a young quarterback, first-time starter, he had 784 rushing yards, almost 62 a game. But, as late as 23, he averaged 61.9. And it was 61.1 in 2023. So as late as then, it was still doing the success rate I'm talking about. Sorry. So it was still very successful in 2023. And then you drop off. It's 784 yards, 760, 605, 630. So the past couple seasons, 23, 24, still over 600. And then he drops all the way down to 421 last season. And the success rate was the lowest it's ever been in the Jalen Hurts era. So, if you're debating, will it be better for him? You're basically being optimistic about things he hasn't done in the past, which is possible, just because He hasn't done it. Doesn't mean he can't do it. But there's also no demonstrated performance of him doing it. So I would say that's where the optimism comes into it. And, July, June, end of June, start of July is the time to be optimistic. And I'm sure everybody will be optimistic. From my standpoint, for asking my opinion, they're not doing. Kellen Moore is trying to do a bunch of different stuff when he came in and scaled it back to what they normally did. Different types, different styles. They seem more invested in it this time. But the one time they tried to change pretty dramatically, they didn't end up changing because it didn't work from their perspective. And they went back to what they did successfully. And I'm already starting to hear Nick Sirianni talk like, and Sean Mannion said the same thing when he talked to us. It's going to be more of a blended approach. We'd be crazy, but they both said we'd be crazy to not do some of the things that we've had a lot of success with. So already I'm hearing the wavering of, hey, we got to insert some of the things we've been successful at. And if that means more shotgun, more RPO, more zone read, it means more shotgun, more RPO, more zone read. But right now, as we stand, they look very invested in trying to go to more of a Sean McVay style of offense. Most notably, the wide zone running game, which is not even involving the passing game. But when you talk about the passing game, you're going to see, under center, you're going to see traditional play action, not RPO play action. You're going to see better sequencing. And by that, what they're saying is, you're running different plays and formations or from the exact same pre-snap look. So you make it difficult for the defense to know what's coming. So you line up the same way, very similar to how Vic plays defense. You line up the same way, and then you do different things from that look. And that keeps the defense off balance. So, we're all waiting to see what it looks like. But I will note, and he said it multiple times in the offseason, and Nick Sirianni has said, we'd be crazy not to do some of the things that we've been successful at with Jalen Hurts.
What was the biggest Achilles heel, John, for the offense in 25? Was it
First down?
First down, I was going to say, was it failure to successfully run first down plays that put you in a much better position in second and third instead of second and long or third and long, 3 and out?
Yeah, I think if you're in second, third, manageable, everything takes care of itself. But if you're in second and long, obviously third and long, it's advantage defense, and that's what happened last year too often. Because even if you look at Matthew Stafford's coming off an MVP season, look, it's still advantage defense when it's 3rd and 13 with Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
But they're better equipped to persevere. You still don't want to be there a lot. If you're there a lot, you're still going to lose a lot. But they're better. They're more capable of persevering in that type of situation more often than the Eagles would be. But you still don't want to be in that situation. So the whole goal is to keep the defense off balance, basically. If you want to boil it down, people like things boiled down. So I say with Vic Fangio's defense, if you want to boil it down, even though he hates this, if you want to boil it down, it's about having the extra defender in pass coverage. That's it. If you want to boil down Sean McVay's offense, it's about keeping the defense off balance. That's it. So they don't know if it's run or pass. Looks the same. A run, you're lined up in the same formation. You might have thrown from it 3 times, and they say, the defense starts thinking, well, they're going to throw it, and then all of a sudden you're running it. It's a stretch run, or vice versa. If you want to boil it down and simplify it to its bare minimum, that's what it's about.
Which helps me. 1st and 10, opening play, 2026 season against the Commanders. Saquon Barkley is running the football. Fair enough.
It's possible. I mean, you might want to get the people excited and go play action and take a deep shot. You never know, but because you like to get people on your side quickly. But the concepts of this offense will be exact same pre-snap look to keep defenses guessing. Like I said, a lot of 11 personnel, but a lot of under center, but more 13, more 3 tight ends as well. A lot of bunch formations, a lot of condensed sets for the receivers, out of bunch, because that makes it difficult. You gotta pick up things. As I said, traditional play action. You're gonna have bootlegs. You're gonna have extra. You're gonna have extra blockers to pass protect on some of those bootlegs as you take shots down the field. So a lot of those are going to be one route concepts. Obviously, the running game is wide zone, stretch. So you basically, you're having the offensive line go left, bang, get out there, move, and give the running back the ability to cut back anywhere he wants, to sort of stretch the defense. And then when you talk about the passing game, everything McVay does, you have dual options, from a layered concept. It might be high-low, it might be low-high. So you give the quarterback options. And, for all the talk about passing concepts, he only uses about 10 to 12 passing concepts and, runs them again from different formations, different personnel groupings, so it looks the same. And that's about it. That's all I can think of off the top of my head.
Who are the 3 tight ends, John? There's 3 tight ends.
Well, that's a good question. A lot. There's a whole thing. I wrote about this on SI. There's a whole thing around the NFL because it was so successful for the Rams last season. And everybody, this is a copycat league, and everybody's trying to copy the Rams in 13 personnel, not understanding, hey, the Rams didn't want to use 13 personnel. It's because they have a boatload of really good tight ends, and they had some injury issues at receiver. So they played a lot of 13 last year. And, I think a lot of these teams are thinking, oh, they got a schematic advantage. It was about the players. Like the assumption that you're going to run 13 personnel just to run 13 personnel without a bunch of good tight ends, it's not going to be pretty.
Well, then the Eagles aren't going to run 13 personnel.
Well, yeah,
I mean, they have
hopefully.
I mean, they have Goddard, right? Are you saying that? I didn't see your article. I'll have to check it out. I don't want to be redundant with it, but are you then saying that it's?
Well, the Rams had Colby Parkinson last year, Davis Allen, Tyler Higbee, Terrence Ferguson, and now they drafted Max Clare. They got 5 tight ends who are starting level tight ends. 5. The Eagles have 1.
So the Eagles won't run 13 personnel.
Well, they ran it a lot in the spring. So, and look, there's the problem with the Eagles tight ends is that everybody who could be projected to play, with the exception of Dallas Goedert, is one-dimensional. Either receiver, Grant Calcaterra, Eli Stowers, or blocker, Johnny Munt, Cameron Latu. And they're not good at the other aspect of it. Now, hey, look, I think they could play 13 personnel and run the ball effectively. You put Goddard out there with Johnny Munt and Cam Latu, and you have Johnny Wilson as the one receiver on the field. Everybody in the building knows what you're going to do, and they might not be able to stop it. But if you fall in love with it and say, well, the Rams did it, so we can keep, because the whole thought process from all these copycats is if you keep 3 tight ends on the field, you can keep the defense in a base look, and you could take advantage of them with matchups, whether it's, in that case for the Eagles, it would be Devontae Smith as the receiver and Dallas Goedert. And you could take advantage of them with matchups. Get Goddard on a linebacker, get Devontae Smith on the safety, whatever. But it's a lot easier to do that when they have threats at tight end. And the problem is the tendency aspect of it. Like if they're using Munt and Latu, they're going to run the ball. If they're using Stowers, they're going to pass the ball. So you become very predictable.
How many tight ends how many tight ends are on make the final roster?
Well, if you're using 13 a lot, and nobody uses 13 a lot except the Rams, and they only used it 30% of the time. So even that's overrated. You got to keep 5. The Eagles have typically kept 3, and you can, remember you have the big practice squad. So you have guys on the practice squad. You can do it that way. But if they're going to play more 13, they got to keep 4 at the bare minimum. And if you use it as much as the Rams, you really got to keep 5. But at the end of the day, all these teams are dumb if they think that, because the Rams don't want to play 13 personnel. Sean McVay was basically the architect. Also, he's the architect of everything, but him or Kyle, but he was the architect of all the 11 personnel. That's what he wants to play. 3 receivers. But Devontae Adams was hurt. They didn't have a ton of depth. So it was basically Puka and not much else. And now they were even in the A.J. Brown sweepstakes because they want to get back to playing 13. And the funny thing is, and this is my biggest criticism of the Eagles shifting, how far behind the curve. Like the Rams are the pace car, right? They're ahead in the race. They're the pace, and everybody else is following them. And the Eagles are so far behind the curve. They're trying. Oh, maybe we'll play 13 more 13. Just as the Rams are saying, we want to get more receivers and play and be more explosive and play more 11. They just can't get to that point, and they got a bunch of good tight ends.
John, it doesn't sound, and Jeff Kerr's going to join in just a moment, it doesn't sound like the Eagles have the personnel to be able to do it. They don't have, there's, as you said, one-dimensional tight ends that fall under after Goddard. Goddard's got to be durable enough to make the entire season. without injury. And from a receiver standpoint, there's a significant drop-off now that A.J. Brown is gone after Devontae Smith. And if they're going to run Saquon Barkley until the wheels come off, to me, it sounds like the Eagles' offense will be very predictable to their opponent, no matter who the opponent is.
Potentially, but they played 8% of the time last year. I believe that's the number. That's it.
The Eagles.
Yeah. It might go up to 15. Say, I don't think it's going to go up much more than that. They just don't have the person. They're not dumb. They don't have 5 tight ends that can threaten you in both aspects. So they're not going to play it as much as the Rams. But my concern is the idea that you're keeping the base defense on the field, the idea of liking the personnel grouping. Like you shouldn't be worried about the personnel grouping. You should be worried about the personnel. And then you figure out the grouping based on your personnel. Ultimately, look, all this talk is a bunch of people that are speculating, and the Eagles, I believe, are going to take advantage of their personnel. And Nick's already starting to allude to it. They know. They can't play 13 personnel as much as the Rams do. They know that.
They can't run the offense. Can they run the offense that Mannion is installing with any sort of success?
Well, we don't know the offense he's installing. The assumption that he's just going to be a copy of Sean McVay or a copy of Kyle Shanahan is not necessarily true. In fact, I think it's not true.
I was going to say, based on just what you said today, I would say it's not true at all. So, I would see
Yeah, I tell a story about Jonathan Gannon, who I got close to when he was here. When he came in, his history with Mike Zimmer and Matt Eberflus mainly. And I thought he's going to run a lot of A-gap blitz stuff from Zimmer, a lot of cover 2 from Eberflus. And he did none of that. Came in running Vic's defense like everybody else. He had no history in it. Did something completely different than anybody thought. Just because people tell you what Sean Mannion's going to run doesn't mean he's going to run that. Now, I do think he's going to be in the McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur family. I don't think he's going to be as drastic as Jonathan Gannon, but there will be tweaks. And he played quarterback in the league. He's not dumb. He knows, look, if you don't have George Kittles and Tucker Crafts, you can't rely on the tight end as much as maybe some people are speculating.
They know that already, don't they?
I believe they do. Yes, I believe they do.
Birds 365 here on the JAKIB Sports Network. Glad you're with us here on a football Monday leading into the end of June, the start of July, into 4th of July weekend where we can all celebrate being American, and then we transition on the other side, and that's when the countdown really begins. I'm going to pause for 15 seconds just to smoothly create the transition of dropping off, getting Jeff Kerr into the conversation with John McMullen so the experts can continue the conversation here on Birds 365, and then I'll be back on the other side. Special shout out to everyone for being with us on this Monday. Thank you very much for joining us here on Birds 365. It's a 15-second message from the Wildwoods, and then back on the other side of that 15 seconds is John McMullen and Jeff Kerr here on Birds 365, back in 15.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Thrill Seekers and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
Welcome back, Birds 365 Football Monday, and Jeff Kerr, our buddy, is here, and teased it a little bit before you popped in the green room, Jeff. We are starting our annual top 25 player list heading into the 2026 season this year. Ed Kratz and I have been doing it for several years. Now you're involved as well. So there's more minds. There's more minds put together with this thing. So it should be a better cross section, get a better indication from my perspective. Now, you haven't been doing it. We're not going to spoil things, but I see you just popped up number 25. So we can talk about number 25. But from doing it for a number of years, Jeff, there's a little bit of a changing of the guard from what's been going on for a very entrenched team, and not quite as deep. Had a difficult time coming up with 25, clear top tier players, as I think you'll see from number 25. But did this exercise, before we unveil the player, did this exercise sort of give you any insight in how the Eagles look heading into this season?
They're definitely not as deep as they were the past couple years. I feel like if I've done this exercise with you guys in 24, 25, I don't think our 25 guy would be 25.
No, that's kind of how I felt. And there's a couple guys that didn't make the list that got a couple votes. So it could have been different here and there, but why don't you unveil number 25 on the 2026 list? Maybe we should have done the top 26 for 26. But
he was a guy who had one carry to the first 7 weeks of the season, and a guy that a lot of fans wanted to play over Saquon Barkley last year. And
fans love him. Fans love him.
I like him too, but I don't want him to be the running back one of this football team.
No, certainly not with Saquon Barkley. But you can guess it is the great Tank Bigsby, not my Tank, the Eagles Tank. Tank Bigsby is number 25 on the list. Look, very explosive runner. One of the things that I think prevents more playing time, he's not the best pass protector. He's not the best pass receiver. So he's not going to be a third down threat. And look, you have a better and a bell cow running back. I would say, if you talk to me about the best running backs in the NFL, I no longer have Saquon at number one. I think that's Bijan Robinson. I think Jahmyr Gibbs. But where Saquon still has the advantage over those guys is he can handle the big workload. Like, you can give him the ball 30 times a game. And really those, you saw it with Gibbs, most notably the years with David Montgomery, and even Bijan Robinson had excellent sort of running back twos at times. And a lot of people are saying, well, why don't you take some of the workload off Saquon Barkley to get Tank on the field? I'm kind of the exact opposite, Jeff. I'm like, this might be Saquon's last year. You have to do something with his contract. I'm going to run him until he can't run anymore. That's the dirty part of football, but I'm not looking to compliment him. I need him. He's one of my best players. I need him on the field.
Yeah. Do the Dallas Cowboys strategy when they had DeMarco Murray, when they had Ezekiel Elliott. It's run him into the ground. The only mistake the Cowboys made was they paid Ezekiel Elliott and they didn't pay DeMarco Murray, but they got value out of both of them in their prime years. And The Eagles they should do that with Saquon Barkley. Look, Tank Bigsby had 57 carries last year. Would you be shocked if he gets over 50?
Yeah, I think it'll go. I mean, as you pointed out, he didn't play that much. Well, when he got acquired. So, if he plays, if he's healthy, he'll have more. But I don't think it's from the standpoint of carries per game. I don't think it's going to be drastically more because, again,
3 or 4.
You get that group. Can you play them together? No, you can't play them together. These people. And it's a very small group. I'm not trying to pick on fans in general, but put Saquon on the field with Tank or Eli Stowers on the field. Somebody's got to block somebody.
Yeah, they don't have blocking in Madden.
It's unbelievable, and it's the most important part because Joe and I were talking about the offense which is going to be the story all year from a holistic standpoint. I'm like, everything's going to be fine if the offensive line is there. Everything's going to be fine. I don't know what it's going to look like, but everything's going to be fine because you're going to have a top 5 offensive line. And as long as you block people, you're going to be able to make some plays. Conversely, if guys don't stay healthy and Lane Johnson becomes Fred Johnson again, and Landon Dickerson becomes Drew Kendall, and Cam Jurgens becomes Wooly Lampkin,
Tyler Steen becomes whoever.
Yeah, you're going to struggle mightily.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? And, I think that's what people are overlooking here. Well, this guy's healthy. This team does not have a lot of depth. And we were talking about this when we were doing our list. How many years were A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith just slam dunks on this thing? Top 10.
Yeah, I mean, AJ won it a couple times, so he's there's a number one at least twice. Lane, I think, won it twice as well, so I think that's it.
Definitely a new number one this year.
Yeah, new number one, and rightfully so. But the group at the top, and it's difficult. I tried to explain. And some of the guys who got left off, just to let them know, Dontavian Wicks, who I voted for on the list, nobody else did. Jonathan Jones, again, I voted him on. Nobody else did.
Considered him very strongly, and I think that's how Tank got 25th, by the way.
And Byron Young, I forget who voted. Somebody voted for Byron Young. I did not.
I did not. So it was Ed.
So was Ed. So those are the guys who were in the mix. And all worthy, if they were 25. I kind of, we're not going to spoil much, but I can say, I don't like to put rookies on there. Other people do.
I didn't like doing it either, and I was very hesitant about doing it, but I felt like
because tough to get to 25. Yeah,
it is. 25. And I'm like, do I really want to put Dontavian Wicks over this guy? Like, really, this is what we're doing here?
Yeah, well, we're going to see. I mean, I don't think I got to write about that at some point. I don't think Nick Sirianni did any favors to Dontavian Wicks by comparing him to Keenan Allen. Now, I think
I was thinking that too. Like they put and you wrote this earlier this month, John. I thought it was good. They're putting a lot of pressure on Dontavian Wicks to do stuff.
Yeah. And he had a lot of drop problems in the spring, which was his reputation coming from Green Bay. That was one of the issues. Look, and I know and Nick was not trying to compare them as players. He was trying to compare the traits. So I want to be fair to him. He wasn't trying to say, oh, he's like Keenan Allen, who's like Mr. Third Down in the NFL and has been for years.
Catches everything in his path.
Yeah. But I just never like throwing out names like that because people are going to take it the wrong way. Like they're not going to understand the context. So I think that puts some unneeded pressure on Dontavian Wicks. But clearly, I mean, by the contract, the Eagles think he's got more to go. By the way, to give you an indication, Keenan Allen has caught 100 passes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different seasons. He's played. He had one season where he's injured, so you wipe it out. So he's played.
That was the ACL year, right?
Yeah. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 seasons. His worst season was 66 catches, and he only played 10 games. And 67 where he only played 8 games. So he's always
Hall of
been
Fame level.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a huge traffic guy. Like I said, he's Mr. Third Down. He's always catching the football. He's always open. Now, where, he's not the fastest guy in the world. He's got some size and he's a good route runner. And that's what Nick was trying to compare with Dontavian Wicks, who's not, a bigger guy, not the fastest guy in the world, but he's got the ability to get open with sharp route running. And I get the comp from that perspective, but I just would think when you bring up, it's like if you compare a tackle to Lane Johnson, it's like, that's not fair to that guy.
No.
So I just don't like doing it, but anyway, our first tangent of the day. Those were the guys, and Tank Bigsby ends up number 25. He was on 2 lists, both at number 25. I put him at 25. One of you guys put him at 25.
I put him at 25. I put him at 25.
And you put him at 20. Ed had left him off. And there you have it. Tank Bigsby, number 25. And I do think he's got a lot of talent as a runner. Now, the one thing, and it hasn't shown up here yet, but he had a reputation for putting the football on the ground in Jacksonville. Hasn't done
that here yet.
Hasn't really done it here. Now, as you mentioned, hasn't had a ton of traffic, to where it's going to be.
I put in the story today what Nick Sirianni said about him. I think it was back in January, how hard he practices and he's a hard worker and he's good for the locker room and good for that, basically just a good overall guy, like a guy that fits what they wanted to do. And I'm like, it's a shame that he's going to be a free agent after this year and probably wants an opportunity to start again.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, look, the guy had, they had a difficult running the football. And when he came in last year, he gave the offense some juice usually. But you also have to remember, like when Saquon's on the field, like everybody's trying to stop Saquon. Like people are game planning.
You're
when
not
Tank
game
comes on the field,
you're not game planning to stop him.
No. So I do think people get a little bit too caught up in that. But he is very explosive as a runner. Can he improve the other aspects of his game? And if he does, he'll get an opportunity to play more somewhere at some point because he does have a lot of juice. He's a good player.
Yeah. And he's done this for 2 teams now.
Yeah.
He's been a good player.
But I don't think I'm taking Saquon Barkley off the field specifically to get Tank Bigsby more carries. I think that wouldn't be a very good way to do business if you're the Philadelphia Eagles.
When I was talking to a couple of my guys in Jacksonville when the Eagles traded for Bigsby, I'm like, look, this guy's a good player. Like, what's the deal here? And they're like, nothing. It's just they had guys that emerged and he did not have a role, so they figured they just unload him and get picks, and they got a 5th and a 6th for him. It was too easy of a deal to make.
Yeah, and I thought it was about, we're going to say, remember when the Eagles brought him in, they talked him up as a kick returner. I still remember his first practice, his first attempt, he flubbed it.
You and I were laughing about that.
Yeah. And he wasn't good at that. So maybe he gets a chance at that again. Maybe he calms down if he's here for a training camp. So maybe that will be his role. But we'll we'll see. Moving forward, we're going to release a new player every day until we get to number 1, which will be somewhere right before training camp. So number 25, Tank Bigsby, starts it off. And there is going to be a new number 1. And rightfully so, I think. So I think people
Can I give a teaser on who isn't number 1?
Yeah, sure, I guess. Why not?
It's not Jalen Hurts.
No. I mean, if people are being like, I try to explain, because I think it's important to explain these lists. It's list season. I think it's important. So, like, this was my Ed and I's brainchild, but I created sort of the definition of the list, which is best pure football players. And as I call it Bill Belichick rules, as I explained before. Do your job. Who does their specific job the best? And the reason why I don't like people say, well, Jalen Hurts is the most important. Yes, that's stipulated. Like the quarterback is always the most important player on the field, Jeff.
That's what makes it difficult. And I always say this to people: you're watching the ball, you're not watching the game. Yeah. There's a difference.
That's not bad, because if Jalen Hurts sprains his ankle and is not available to play the Washington Commanders in week 1, don't want to say significant injury, never hope people get injured.
You don't even know who the backup is.
Well, if it's Tanner McKee or Andy Dalton on that particular day, they are the most important player on the Philadelphia Eagles. Doesn't matter if you have the best quarterback, the 17th best quarterback, or the 32nd best quarterback. They're the most important player on the team. So that list to me is not valuable. I'm trying to figure out who the best football players are.
Pound for pound, best football players are on the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. Doesn't matter position.
And I think anybody, even the most Jalen Hurts-ites of the Jalen Hurts-ites, would admit he's not the best football player on the Philadelphia Eagles.
John, by the way, John and I got the number 1 right. Sorry, Ed.
That's correct. We did get number 1 right. And I had Ed's number 1, number 2 on my list. So
I had him at 5. I'm the reason why he wasn't 1.
Ed and I aren't too far off. And you're a little bit less.
Yeah, I'm the reason why he wasn't 1, but probably for a good thing.
And either way, 1-2 should be 1-2, in my opinion, or vice versa. But we'll get to that, but it is list season. Our list is the most important one. So keep watching.
I've been regrading the Eagles draft classes over the last couple of years and grading each individual player. And that's been a hit. A lot of people seem to like
people
that.
Love redraft class. They love grades and lists. And so you're getting all your lists in the off season stuff. But, one list we didn't talk about was your old friend Pete Prisco. That's why I said 17 on purpose. I believe he did his top 100 list. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you know Pete. I don't know.
I know Pete well. This is the time. This is the time of year he drops this. It's usually 3rd, 4th week of June. So,
I don't know the definition of his list, but I do know there's a bunch of quarterbacks on it, and he had Jalen Hurts at number 84 overall in the NFL, and I believe 17th amongst the quarterbacks.
You know what? It's funny. Pete, this is what Pete would say, like in a group chat or in a Slack room. He's in top 100. What are you complaining about?
Well, people think I'm harsh on Jalen Hurts. There's no way there's 16 better quarterbacks.
No, there's not. And I would have told him that. I'm like, Pete, I know you're still in awe over Jalen Hurts beating the Kansas City Chiefs and outplaying the Kansas City Chiefs in 2 Super Bowls, because I sat there with him and he's just like, there's no way this can be happening. I'm like, Pete, why can't it be happening? Anything can happen.
Well,
Nick
and I
Foles won
think
Super Bowl.
I think it's silly to have that many quarterbacks in a top 100
Yeah.
in the NFL.
But
I think
it's
that's,
who he has over him is kind of laughable.
yeah. I just saw that. I haven't seen actually the entire list, but the fact that there's so many quarterbacks on the list, I mean, right there, I'm kind of disqualified.
He's one of those like quarterback is the most important position. As a defensive player, I hate that. I hate that.
Well, they are, but I mean, what is the list again? Is it just do most important players and then list the quarterbacks from 1 to 32?
Yeah. Just rank the quarter. Just rank the quarter. We had someone who ranked the quarterbacks every single week.
Yeah,
based on whatever the criteria was, and got slammed for it. But he said, "Look, that's my job. I got to rank all 32."
So
and whoever has,
most people would say non-quarterback. If you did a non-quarterback list, Myles Garrett would probably be number 1 on most people's lists. You can make some arguments for some other players, but most. And, he's still less important than the 32nd best quarterback to his team. The worst starting quarterback in the NFL is more important than the best position.
I think when we did pound for pound the one year, I had Aaron Donald number 1. I think that was Aaron Donald's year, last year, second to last year when we did them all as a group. And everybody's like, "You have Aaron Donald number 1?" I'm like, "He's the best player in football. What are we doing?"
Yeah. Well, he was, yeah.
Well, why not Tom Brady? I'm like, what? Why Tom Brady?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it's really hard for people to understand. I don't know why it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think the one year we did it, I think I had Joe Thomas in like my top 5. And people argued that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, and Lane Johnson on the Eagles, and like he's coming off a down year because he was hurt. He didn't play half the year. So
he still has only allowed 1 sack since 2020.
Yeah, I mean, he's still one of the best players, but aging and all that kind of stuff. I didn't put him nearly as high as I normally put him.
I was thinking about this the other day, John, when Kelsey has Beach Bash. I always like looking up Kelsey's career. That guy could have started his career at 30, and you could just take 30 to 35, and that's a Hall of Fame career.
Well, he was better as he got older. It's the weirdest thing. You're supposed to decline. He got better.
Yeah, he wasn't good for a lot of.
He's going to get cut. People, when he gets
2016, he wasn't good. He was terrible the first half of 2016.
I remember talking to him that year because that was my first year I was down there full time, and he was like, he didn't know if he was going to be back. And Jeff Stoutland kind of lobbied to keep him.
Yeah, that's really well. I don't even think his legend became legend until the parade speech. I think people were just like, okay, he's a good center, had a great year, but then the parade speech happened, and boom.
Well, I used to have, I remember, like now it seems silly, but we've had a lot of Hall of Fame voters on this show over the years, most notably Damo, who's going to be on to pump up his book soon. He's doing a
gotta read that, by the way. Gotta read it.
Yeah. But a lot of other guys, Jason Cole, Ira Kaufman, a lot of guys we've had.
Does Jason Cole still have a Hall of Fame vote?
Yeah, he still does. And I would point out to him, this is probably, 20, right when people started to say Kelsey's a future Hall of Famer. So probably 2020-ish, 2021-ish, maybe even 2022 after the Super Bowl. And I said, really? Is he really a Hall of Famer? Because they don't put a lot of centers in the Hall of Fame. They haven't historically. And the ones who are in there, have ridiculous resumes from an all-pro perspective, which is very important for these voters. I think it was Jason Cole specifically, because I asked him. I don't know. I mean, the first part of his career was not great.
But the
And I
back
said, "Is
half.
this?" And I asked him that specific question. I said, "Is he a slam dunk for the Hall of Fame?" And this is, I guess I was, and he said yes. So
Yeah, I had a couple of
that's
them. I put up his stats compared to other centers. I wrote an article about it, and like people blew it up. Like even a couple Hall of Fame voters, they're like, "Look, he's with this guy and this guy, Jim Otto, Bulldog Turner, Mike Webster. Like these are it." And like, look, my dad's friend played for the Steelers in the 70s. He played with Mike Webster on the same offense as Mike Webster. Knew him very well. Unfortunately, they're both not with us anymore. But look, Jason Kelce might be better than Mike Webster, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do probably because they're legendary. I know the Hall of Fame's Pro Football Reference has the Hall of Fame monitor, and they rate him Kelce 5th, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
He's behind
Really
Dawson, Jim Otto, Mike Webster, Dwight Stevenson. Who from people I've talked to, they would put Dwight Stevenson number 1. But maybe didn't play as long.
Dawson was a really good player too.
Yeah. And then Kelsey's 5 ahead, and he's ahead of Kevin Mawe, Jim Langer, Mick Tingelhoff, who finally got in after 1,000 years. So there aren't a lot of Hall of Fame centers. But yeah, he had a very unique career.
I'm one of those people too, just because of, we had to pick Hall of Famers from that 17 Eagles team. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson, Jason Peters.
Yeah, and Jason Peters is an interesting one as well, because I think there's a little bit of Russell Wilson in him. Like at one point, he was a no doubt about it guy.
Then he hung
and
around.
He hung around for so long. I think it hurt him a little bit.
What makes it tough too is like Joe Thomas played in the same era, Trent Williams played in the same era, Tyron Smith played in the same era. It's like, I don't think he was better than Thomas or Trent Williams, but Tyron Smith gets off. I don't think anymore, but I think there was like, that Tyron Smith's going to be a slam dunk, like Peters.
Well, if you look at the Hall of Fame monitor, the only players ahead of Jason Peters are all in the Hall of Fame, with the exception of Jim Tyrer, who I don't know.
How is he not in?
Anthony Munoz. So here's the group. Anthony Munoz, number 1. I think everybody would say that. Forrest Gregg, Jim Parker, Willie Rofe, Joe Thomas, your guy, Ron Yari, know very well from my time in Minnesota. Gary Zimmerman, same thing. Bob Brown, former Eagle. Jonathan Ogden,
very good.
Ron Mix, Walter Jones, great player. Art Shell, Rayfield Wright,
very good player.
all in the Hall of Fame. Then comes Jason Peters, who is still ahead of Orlando Pace, Tony Baselli, Dan Dierdorf, and Jimbo Corbett, who are all Hall of Famers. So he should be in.
Yeah, by that he's in. By the way, John, you want to feel old, even though I'm not old. When I saw Joe Thomas get in the Hall of Fame, like I was there for his speech. I'm like, wait, what? Like this guy retired in 17.
Well, I'm really hard on. I admit that's one of I'm really hard on modern guys. I'm like, some guys get in, and I'm like, really? That's a Hall of Famer? Just because I built up the legend of these Hall of Famers in my mind, and it's probably unfair to some of the younger guys, but I do. Some guys are up. I'm like, this guy's not a Hall.
The year I went, Baselli got in, Thomas, Butler, Leroy Butler got in, Sam Mills, Dick Vermeil's why we went. But yeah, it's like I was shocked because I met a lot of players from that 90s Packers team that week. had the pleasure of staying in the same hotel as a lot of them. So I got to talk to them for a couple days, and they were like shocked. I said, how did it take this long for Leroy Butler to get in? Like, they put safeties in. That was like a big conversation.
It took Paul Krause 2 decades to get in.
Yeah. And he's the all-time interceptions leader.
Yeah. And like that record's never going to be broken. No. I mean, the current intercept, and I don't even think Harrison Smith hasn't retired yet, but he might retire and he might come back to play one more year. But I think he's the current interception leader all time, and he's in the 30s.
That 90s Packers team, I was talking to a lot of these guys, and there are some names. They don't have that many Hall of Famers. We were kind of laughing about it. Like, they had a lot of good players, but
they were carried. They were carried by the quarterbacks, but they had a lot of good players.
Yeah, they had Brett, they had Reggie White. Seth Joyner wasn't a Hall of Famer. I mean, close, but he was toward the end. But Keith Byers was a good player at one point. Antonio Freeman was a really good player at one point.
Yeah, they're not Hall of Famers.
No, and like, it's funny hearing the stories with some of these guys, like your Andre Risons of the world and Mark Jamuras of the world, and football players in the 90s. It was different animals.
Mark Jamura is a good player, yeah, but it's certainly not a Hall of Famer. The most difficult position is wide receiver. I mean, because the numbers are so drastically changed now.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, like people say, well, Cliff Branch is in. Yeah, damn right he's in.
Yeah.
And then compare numbers of, I don't know, some good receiver who's not a Hall of Famer, like Henry Ellard. All right.
Yeah, Henry Ellard's a good one.
Even now, Devontae
Harold Jackson.
Yeah, well, Harold was a good player. He sort of borderline. But it's a different game, man.
Yeah.
Those guys dominated in their time.
Brandon Marshall was a good player. He's never getting in the Hall of Fame.
No. God, no. That's, some of these guys are just, even Steve Smith Sr., that's not a Hall of Fame player. I'm sorry. It's not. Good player.
Yeah, he could say he is, but
a Hall of Very Good. Devontae Adams, not a Hall of Famer in my mind. This is my mind. DeAndre Hopkins, not a Hall of Famer.
What's crazy about Devontae Adams is, though, he's still going strong. He can still boost up the numbers for himself.
Yeah. Well, so can Mike Evans. He's not a Hall of Famer. He will be, but in my mind.
He's going to be because of what those Jerry Rice records he matched.
The best receivers, according to Pro Football Reference's Hall of Fame monitor, Jerry Rice.
Shocker.
Randy Moss, which everybody has one too, and should be. Marvin Harrison, Larry Fitzgerald, then comes T.O.
Marvin Harrison was higher than Larry Fitzgerald.
Yep. Steve Largent, James Lofton, Lance Allworth, Chris Carter, Tim Brown. Those are your top receivers of all time. But here's the thing. They have this, system. It's based on war. It's based on bunch of different things. Hall of Fame probability from basketball, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, they come up with an approximate value and they put a number on it. I'm not going to bore you with the numbers, but just to give you how good was Jerry Rice, his Hall of Fame monitor number is 311.99.
It's insane.
I'm
looking it up now.
Number 2 is Randy Moss, who I got to cover and is freaking unbelievable, is 150.12. He's number 2. Doesn't even have half of Jerry Rice.
This is my, I've been on and Torrey Holt can vouch for this. I'm on the Torrey Holt, get him into the Hall of Fame committee, and I've always told people he's better than Isaac Bruce. According to this, he's better than Isaac Bruce. He's not in.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he was better than Isaac Bruce.
Yeah. But he was always listed as the 2, unfortunately, because Isaac Bruce was the 1.
Reggie White, to give you an indication, got a 239.73. I'm just giving you how good was.
Can we have this conversation? Is Myles Garrett going to be better than Reggie White when it's all said and done?
In my opinion, no.
No, I say no, but he's going to be in that conversation.
Miles in the list. Miles isn't
depending
even,
on how he ages.
Here's the top defensive ends, which is difficult now because it's edge rusher. Reggie's 1, Bruce Smith 2, which I think everybody would agree with. J.J. Watt 3. Jack Youngblood, phenomenal player. Deacon Jones, phenomenal pass rusher. Michael Strahan, Willie Davis, Julius Peppers, underrated, tremendous player.
Yeah.
Carl Eller, very underrated, awesome pass rusher. Jason Taylor, they're all Hall of Famers. Well, with the exception of JJ, he will be. And then comes Myles Garrett. So he's behind all those guys.
That's nuts.
Well, some of those guys are freaking awesome, but it's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Very Good.
Who coined that? The Hall of
I don't
Fame?
know who coined it, but I use it all the time, and I'm in that category because,
yeah,
in my estimation, if I ever got a Hall of Fame vote, I'm concrete on who's a Hall of Famer and who isn't.
I'd be really strict. I'm like, no. And the only way I bend is if some guy makes it. Like, for example, I'll go baseball. I love Barry Larkin. I think Barry Larkin I thought he was in the Hall very good, but once they got him, I'm like, all right, open the door, Jimmy Rollins, get him in.
I'm glad we went off on this tangent because, to me, I've often said, and I had no idea, but I've often said that, the best week-to-week quarterbacks, which to me is more important than Super Bowls. I know I'm in a very short list, but to me, the game is about greatness is about consistency from week to week to week to week. And from that standpoint, they have the 2 best quarterbacks of all time as Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. And I agree with that.
Yeah. Much as I hate to admit it, I agree with that too. I mean, they were the 2 best. And Aaron Rodgers is third on this, by the way.
And he should be.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever played. That's what I say about Aaron Rodgers. Nobody has ever played the position at a higher level.
I think
him at a site.
I mean, obviously his off the field stuff and his post football life definitely tarnished his reputation. But man, in the 90s, I don't think there was anybody better than Brett Favre.
I think they got I'm looking at running back. They got Peyton 1, Jim Brown 2. Wide receiver, they got Rice and Moss. Tight end, Gonzalez is 1, Kelsey's 2.
Gronk's 3. And Gronk would probably be 1 if he played longer.
Guard, Bruce Matthews 1, Randall McDaniel 2, John Hanna 3. That's a good list.
Alan Fanex 4. That's a really Larry Allen's 5. Yeah, this is a really good. Zach Martin's getting in, by the way.
Oh God, yeah. Anthony Munoz, Forrest Gregg, Jim Parker. Anthony Munoz is right. Center, Dermontti Dawson. That's fine. Defensive tackle, Aaron Donald. That's right. My guy Alan Page is number 4. Joe Green 5.
You know who's gonna have
Reggie White, Bruce Smith. Inside linebacker Ray Lewis, Mike Singletary. They got that right. Outside linebacker Lawrence Taylor, Derek Brooks. I don't like Derek Brooks is off ball, so that's
he's an off ball guy.
Great player.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. Defensive player of the year, right?
And then they lump all the DBs together and they go Rod Woodson, Deion Sanders. I'd put Ronnie Lott ahead of them, but whatever. Morton Anderson, still the top kicker. I agree with that. I had that discussion with our buddy Jimmy Kempski because his numbers don't hold up in the modern era when everybody's banging through 50. But I tried to explain. I go, in his era, he was so much better than everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you're looking at. And the same thing at punter with Ray Guy. Like, all right, now guys dwarf Ray Guy, but he was like by himself.
I mean,
during
Shane
his era.
Leckler is not in yet. And he was really, Sean Mannion was really good in 2 eras.
Yeah. Johnny Hecker's still going, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still going. He's still going. Yep. I'm like you. I'm like you, John. I like to tell people this. Just admit you didn't watch football when you were a kid or like when you were younger.
Yeah.
Not like you do now. Just admit it. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm like the time machine works both ways. I'm a time machine where everybody likes to say, well, if those guys played today. Well, if these guys played back then, remember, you can't spend $100,000 on your body like Derrick Henry does. You got to go sell insurance in the offseason.
I was actually laughing today. I forget what player it was. Might have been an NBA player. I forget. Terry Rozier. They're like, oh man, he's the original Scary Terry. I'm like, no, it's not. It's Terry Allen. Like, get out of here with that.
Yeah, when somebody's got the same nicknames, all right, let's get more inventive.
Yeah. And by the way, that was an actual Scary Terry. Terry Rozier was not scary. Terry Allen was, and he lost both his ACLs.
Oh, the running back, yeah, he was a good player.
He was a good player.
Yeah,
he's the Hall of Good.
He was like a 9th round pick because of that. That was back in the days when it was a 12-round draft.
Yeah. Were you covering the Vikings when Terry Allen was there?
No, I just missed him. Probably.
So he was in Washington then when he got there.
Yes. Yeah, he was a 9th round pick. I heard about him a lot. A 9th round pick.
I still remember I was a kid. He had a big touchdown run against the Eagles, and they used like a sweep play. And everybody likes to get on Mike Mamula for missing him. I said, Mike Mamula did not miss him. Mike Mamula was in position. Terry Allen was just good. Got the block and boom.
That's a name from the past. Yeah.
I still don't understand how you can be a draft bust when you have 31.5 sacks too, but
no, he wasn't. Mike Mamula.
He wasn't.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
People don't understand the term bust.
No.
Bust means, Jamarcus Russell. That's a bust.
Ryan Leaf.
If you're a competent NFL player, you're a disappointment as the 7th overall pick. But you're a competent, good NFL player for, what did he play, 5-6 years? That's not a bust.
No. Also, 3rd-round picks aren't bust either.
No, they are not.
Like they're drafted. Like I hear people say Kaylee Ringo's a bust. I'm like, how's he a bust? He was a 4th-round pick.
He's a bust in their expectations.
Yeah, I'm like, you had unreasonable expectations. Oh, by the way, he might be the best gunner in football, but sure, he's a bust.
Yeah. I got to check in with Joe. Yeah. He'll be back at 9:35-ish. So anyway, we'll keep it going as I do stuff on air with Joe Krause. He'll be back in a little bit, but
when's Zander come back from Italy?
He'll be back next week. So
I'm jealous.
I think we have off next Monday. He'll be back Tuesday. Interestingly, so we'll probably check in with you. We're not doing a show Monday. Even though most people are taking off Friday, we're doing Friday and taking off Monday for the 4th of July. So programming note. So we'll check on with you. I have jury duty. I got to find a way to get out of that. So I might be missing. I think it's Tuesday. I think the day Zander comes back, I have jury duty.
Wow.
So that might create an issue as well. Hopefully.
It's a good time of year for our profession to actually have jury duty.
Well, yeah, it's the best. You can, defer it. And sometimes they have called me in times where like I'm traveling or whatever. And I'm like, look, I can do it in the summer at this time, but boy, I can't stand jury duty.
No, I can't either. I was in there for 6 hours one time, and like it felt like it took 6 hours for them to understand that I was not going to be part of this jury for this case. Wasn't going to happen.
So that's coming up. Maybe I'll try to get a deferral, but to what? I can't. It's then when training camp starts, I can't do anything. So
yeah,
maybe I have to.
Your life's tied up.
Yeah. Maybe I have to suck it up and go through the misery of jury duty, but we'll keep you updated on that. We are officially, what's today's date? June 29th. We are officially 1 month away from the first practice at training camp for the Philadelphia Eagles. Nice tangent with the Hall of Famers, but and we've started our top 25 list. Mentioned Pete Prisco's list about Jalen. That's going to upset some people, but you do have positive stuff at this time of the year. I saw NFL.com. They're doing, I guess somebody did a long shot pick for major awards, and Jalen Carter was the long shot pick for defensive player of the year.
It could happen.
Bucky Brooks.
Could happen.
So let me give you some of the other ones. You're not going to like
John,
one.
do you think my grade for Jalen Carter has been fair? A-? You think that's fair?
As a draft pick? Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
To me, you've already gotten what you want. I grade drafts kind of differently. Like it depends. If you're expecting him to be defensive player of the year, which I think is unfair.
Yeah.
But he's got potential, certainly the talent to reach that level. You already won a Super Bowl, and he was arguably the biggest part of getting you there.
And that's what I wrote about. And I'm like, look, he was already an All-Pro, but I'm like, okay, I put Quinyon Mitchell here, and I put Cooper DeJean here. Do I really put Jalen Carter on that stratosphere? But he deserves an A somewhere.
Yeah, certainly. So from that standpoint, yeah, I mean, but again, it depends on your expectations. If you're expecting,
I gave that draft class an A-, and I was up and down on that because I'm like, Jalen Carter's really good. Nolan Smith's a good player and helped toward a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Nolan Smith, man, people don't realize he's a good player. Now,
I gave Nolan Smith a B+. I gave him a B+. I thought that was fair.
Yeah, there's some injury concerns, but
that's what it was. But look, Moro Jomo was an A+ for me.
Well,
I was 249 pick in the draft.
Yeah, he's a no doubt about it, A+. When you get that kind of contributor in the 7th round. So the one that you're not going to like, the Eagles fans, not you, Bucky Brooks, again, long shot picks for major NFL awards. Offensive player of the year, A.J. Brown, New England Patriots.
Not surprised.
Defensive player of the year, Jalen Carter. Offensive rookie of the year, Casey Concepcion from the Browns. I don't like that because who's throwing him the football? You're at the mercy of the vehicle getting you the football as a receiver. Defensive rookie of the year, Malachi Lawrence, Dallas Cowboys. Eagles fans probably not going to like that.
Remember, the Eagles traded up, and they traded up with the Cowboys to get Mekhi Levin. And Cowboys.
Well, the thought process there is they'll get to play next to Quinnen Williams, Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, but I don't know if he'll get to play.
I gotta write at some point. How good do we think the Giants are going to be this year? The Cowboys are going to be this year. Washington.
I think the Cowboys have a chance to be pretty good.
I always think they have a chance. Last year was the only year I was like, this team is not going to be good. They just traded their best player.
Long shot MVP I like as well, Kyler Murray, only because he gets to go in with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and now Jawan Jennings, who's a good player. So that to me makes sense because he goes into a situation where you have a bunch of playmakers. Whereas KC Concepcion doesn't make sense because he goes into a situation where they don't have a quarterback. So anyway, that's Bucky Brooks. To your point, what were you saying there with the drafting? Moro Jomo definitely phenomenal.
I gave Tanner a B.
Can I give
for
him
what he is?
for
what he is, it's
what is he? I don't even know what he is.
No, but I'm like, look, 6th-round picks and don't even make rosters. Like Kyle McCord was a 6th-round pick, did not make the roster.
Well, the thing that has made Tanner McKee's career a success in, I think, people's minds is Jalen Hurts' durability.
Correct.
You don't have to see him play.
We see him play in week 18, and I don't care enough.
Yeah, exactly. So, to me, he remains an incomplete. I don't know. People are saying, "Oh, he can play." Really?
I don't know if he can play, but I think he. And I mentioned this, like he is a confidant for Jalen Hurts in that room. So,
well, that's fine. Yeah, I don't know if
value.
he is or isn't, to be honest, because Jalen Hurts is so. Internal, I guess.
Yeah, to himself, I think is the better term. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
But, when you hear things, good things, obviously. There's a lot of good things. You hear about them from other players on that team, so.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't create waves. So I think that's a positive because you got some of these guys who don't understand their role, which is to help the starting quarterback.
By the way, Nick Sirianni's been getting a lot of praise lately from the Eagles Nation.
Really?
About CJ, the stuff he's been saying, and Bryce Huff, the stuff he's been saying, and a lot of that. Isn't that? I wrote about that. I'm like, come on, dude, take your ring and just go home. It's fine.
Well, I agree with a lot of what the underlying things like my thing is like, all right, yeah, he can't. Well, the old Bill Parcells quote I say all the time: "Don't tell me what he can't do. Utilize what he can do." But that's just not Vic's way. Yeah. And you're picking on a defense that was number 1 in the NFL. It's just a bad look from that standpoint.
I did agree with Huff on this, though. He knew it wasn't going to work from day one. I mean, you and I could sense that in August.
Well, I got a kick out of it. You know where I laughed out loud? You go to OTAs and people are saying, how did Jalix Hunt look? Or, when he was a rookie, people would ask me, and how did, this edge rusher look? I'm like, they don't do anything. All they do is drop in coverage. And then Bryce Huff is like showing up and he's like, all we do is drop in coverage. I laughed out loud. They don't
Bryce Huff was a good interview. I did like Bryce Huff.
They don't do anything. So when people ask me about, I don't like lying to people. So I'm like, well, how's the offensive lineman?
What'd you learn?
Do anything.
Nothing. I learned nothing today.
The only time you get to judge or somewhat with a somewhat educated speculation is when the pads come on. You have to wait for that. And people just don't want to wait. But I laughed out loud when I was listening to Bryce Huff, and he said, well, as soon as I got there, all we did was drop in coverage. I'm like, that's all they do.
I'm sure people love hearing that.
Well, it's not the time for it. And Vic's mentality is, well, he's just trying to get them comfortable with dropping into coverage. It's not like they're going to do it a lot, but OTAs are not the time. OTAs are not the time.
I just thought it was funny how he said he felt disrespected. I'm like, wait a minute. You didn't play in the divisional round game. You played one snap in the wild card game. The only reason you played in the NFC Championship game because they were up 30 points.
Well, he wasn't even healthy either. He had the broken hand.
He had the wrist injury.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it was a wrist, hand, whatever it was.
CJ, I'm glad everybody's figuring out the loose cannon that he is. My God.
Oh, CJ's he's out. He's
out in left field.
He's I like that he got out the pad to write down all his kids' names. He's like Vic. He needs the roster to remember everybody's names. Yeah, I mean,
feel like if I had, I would just from coaching, I would love a player like him. I just don't want to hear him. Like, dude, just do what I told you to do, and that's it.
Yeah. He great. I mean, let's be honest, tremendous, and that's why it sucks because he was a big time playmaker.
He's a good football player. It's just
brings energy to the defense. Big hitter. Everybody loves him, but man, he's a handful to deal with.
I mean, D'Amico Ryans couldn't even handle him. He couldn't deal with him for a month.
Yeah, there's so many guys like, look at what's going on with Brandon Ayuk. I mean,
yeah.
People think AJ's bad. AJ's a walk in the park compared to some of these guys.
Yeah, AJ just did the whole social media thing, just kind of kept it as internal as he could with being external. It's like, I'll let this leak.
Yeah.
But that's...
he didn't leak anything. That's stupid story.
No,
that everybody
he actually was upfront about it.
Yeah, he did everything publicly.
What do you think the problem with the offense is? Passing. Like, literally.
Boy, that summed up what a hellscape that these people who just take quotes out of context and just throw them up. And
he wasn't the only one to say it that day either.
That was my
everybody
said it. Jalen Hurts said it that day.
Yeah,
Jordan Mailata did. Devontae did.
I was with Devontae did when he said it, and hey, AJ said, yeah, he's right.
Yeah, that was the Carolina game. That game was a disaster.
If Xavier Legette doesn't drop whatever happened.
Yeah, he dropped that. They should have lost that game, and that's the only way it could have been worse. But from a passing,
I remember CJ's comments that day too. He heard me coming.
CJ.
Oh my God.
Well, Buffalo's going to learn. I mean, and look, you might have a honeymoon. Hopefully, you get a honeymoon for a year, and then that'll be it. Yeah, high maintenance. That's a perfect description of CJ Gardner Johnson.
There's a way to handle things.
Yeah, I mean, the Barkley stuff, by the way, I'm trying to think of what he said. I don't even know what he meant.
Yeah, I don't know what he meant. Like, are you mad Saquon got paid?
I think he's mad that he got paid because they didn't have to pay Saquon.
You know what? I think we just uncovered it. It's not Saquon got paid. It's the fact that the Eagles used the cash reason for why he was gone.
Yeah, I think he takes that as if they didn't pay him and they didn't have to pay him yet, they would have, they were very proactive. It was sort of a thank you payment for the season. And they didn't need to do it. And if they didn't do it, CJ would still be there. I think that's what he means. But then I think maybe he's just talking about because those guys all get along as far as I know. Like Saquon is very close to AJ and vice versa. And CJ liked those guys. And I'm thinking maybe he's saying, your impact on the offense had everybody because it was so run heavy.
Yeah.
Maybe he's talking about that. I don't know what
here's the thing too. I keep looking at it as like any other situation. Like he didn't want to leave. He wanted to be there. And they got rid of him. And
twice.
Yeah, and he's mad. He's like, I don't want to. He probably was like in years, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in Baltimore. I want to be in Philly, but they don't want me. So.
Yeah. Well, he did his own podcast. He did a great Howie Roseman impression when he called him. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Because Howie always starts phone calls with, hey, buddy.
I'm telling you, like, as high maintenance as he is, it's like he's a guy. You can get a one-on-one with him. It's you're gonna get something.
Yeah, he has good days and he has bad days, CJ. So you Got to get him.
He's had some bad days. Remember when he said he really don't care what I think? I'm like, what did I do? I praised you for years.
Wrong day.
Wrong day. That's how I took it. I was like, whatever. All right, CJ.
All right, at Jeff Kerr PHL. Make sure you follow Jeff on the X platform. Out this morning, kicking off our 2026 top 25 Eagles list with myself and Ed Kratz. Number 25 is Tank Bigsby. We'll unveil a different player every day until we get to number 1. SI.com/NFL/Eagles. Make sure you bookmark it as we go down the list, and people get upset when we do get to Jalen Hurts, which is number, I'm not going to spoil it. But a bunch of people are going to be upset that he's
they're going to be upset over the next couple, I think, because you're going to be like, really? This is our team?
Well, I think Jonathan Jones and who else missed? I think
Byron Young missed. He got
Byron
a vote.
Young missed.
I thought Byron Young would get a vote at this time last year.
He's a good player, Byron Young.
He is a good player. He's a heck of a lot better than Ty Robinson. I know that.
Proved himself. Yeah, Ty's got to get going, man. I wrote about Ty. People are giving up on him. There's no reason
I'm giving up on him. I don't think he's any good.
I don't give up on anybody after 1 year.
But we can use the Byron Young comparison. Byron Young didn't
do anything as a rookie, and he was a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would not
the Super Bowl year.
I would not give up on Ty Robinson just yet. But we'll see how it shakes out. Jeff Kerr, thanks, my friend. And we'll figure out. Hopefully, come on Tuesday next week, but we'll figure it out.
We should do a live JAKIB Sports from John McMullen and jury duty. I'd watch.
Yeah.
I would love to watch your.
I'll have something. I'll need something to do. And sitting in Camden, New Jersey, with one freaking little coffee thing that 9 million people are lined up to get. Oh, what a!
I always liked when we sat in the auditorium and they would ask us questions. I'm like, "You serious right now? Like, this is a question?"
Yeah. I love the video that nobody pays attention to.
No one pays attention. You know what I was doing when the video was on?
It's like 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
We get it. Now I think they make you pre-do that now.
They do, yeah.
So I just click it on and leave my computer. Yes, state of New Jersey. That's what I do. I don't pay any attention. So you don't want me for jury duty.
You know what I gotta ask you before we leave, John? Do you know where Bosnia is? Unlike that reporter, and well, she claims she didn't. That attempt at a joke.
Yeah, I mean, I could find it on if you give me a globe.
Yeah.
Like I have a sound understanding of where it would be, but I can't tell you like right off the top of my head.
History buff that I am, I was like, wait a minute, Bosnia's in the news. And then I'm like, oh, they must be remembering Archduke Ferdinand got shot in Sarajevo and started World War I. No, it was some ABC 7 reporter. I'm like, oh.
Well, if you throw out Yugoslavia, I remember when Czechoslovakia changed to the Czech Republic.
And now they're Czechia.
Yeah, Czechia. So when I was doing Olympic stories way back when, and I got a lot of crap because in my mind, Czechoslovakia was Czechoslovakia, and it had already changed to being the Czech Republic. So I got yelled at for that. Yeah. And obviously if you're going to throw out, old country names, yeah, you're going to get a lot of shit, but no, I agree. Now I didn't see that. I saw it became, sort of viral, but if you asked most Americans, they have no idea where Bosnia is.
They have no idea how to say it nor pronounce it. Bosnia I can't even pronounce it.
Herzegovina.
Herzegovina. Thank you.
Yeah. But it's in Europe, closer to Eastern Europe.
It's like you said, though, John. It's like, after the former Yugoslavia, you're just like, okay, well, I know where it's at. It's just, I actually,
like Western Europe is, the Western countries, England, France, yada yada, Germany.
I was in line for the World Cup on Thursday, and there were guys with Turkey jerseys I was talking to. And I said, "Hey, God, I have a serious question for you. When did you guys become Turkey A?" And
I missed that.
I told them I must have missed that. They're like, it really was like 3 or 4 years ago. And they said the only reason they did was they're trying to attract, like, I guess, more tourists to Turkey. And I'm like, really? That's the reason for the change? They're like, yeah, kind of. They said trying to promote the country a little more. And I told them I wanted to go see Istanbul.
Well, how does that promote your country more?
I that's what they don't get either. They're like, hey, a lot of countries do a lot of silly things that no one gets. That's what they said.
They have the Grand Bazaar in Turkey. That's what I know about Turkey because it's in a lot of movies. It looks pretty cool. So if you ever go to Turkey, go to
Istanbul is one of the biggest cities in the world, former Constantinople. If you know your world history, it's the
Grand Bazaar.
Do you think people know where Turkey is on the map? Turkey A?
No, the vast majority no. But that's so I don't know why people are stunned that she didn't know where Bosnia, if that was the issue.
I think it was just a typical TV reporter joke that fell flat.
Yeah.
And again, people were like, well, where are the real journalists at? I'm like,
oh yeah.
I don't even want to get into that conversation. Like, just
I don't even think a lot of people know what, when you talk about North Africa and sort of Eastern Europe and you get into some of the Muslim countries, like, I don't even think people know what continent they're in.
Well,
for
like
the most part.
Well, like in the World Cup, like DR Congo. Everybody's like, that's Congo. I said, no, that's not Congo. That's the old Zaire.
The Democratic Republic of Congo?
Correct. Or I did like the jokes someone put on Twitter. Yeah, yes, I do know where Dr. Congo is on a map. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah. So there's a lot of North Africa misunderstanding, I would say.
There's a lot that, like, I took a class on African history in college, and like I feel bad because I still don't know. Like, I know where like a country like Chad is, but I'm like, I'd have a hard time like finding it.
Chad sounds like a college lacrosse player.
I mean, there is one like Tunisia, like I know where like a Senegal is, or a Morocco is, or Egypt's easy.
Morocco,
yeah. Madagascar's an easy one. South Africa, but like there's a couple of them where you're just like, oh yeah, that's right, they're in Africa.
Yeah. All right, you get everything on this show. There, you got some geography lessons.
Our attempt at a geography lesson,
but yeah, look to when anybody asks you that question and try to act like, just look to Eastern Europe or North Africa.
Yeah, I always say Eastern Europe. It's like, by the way, Oscar Budahin, our buddy Oscar Budahin, wanted me to mention this today about pray for the people of Venezuela right now with those earthquakes.
Oh my God, yeah,
that's horrible. And Oscar's from Venezuela, so it's really hitting home for him.
Yeah, that's awful. Oscar, hope you're doing well, buddy. If you're listening, I got to check in with Oscar. Phillies are so good right now.
Yeah.
And that'll help the Eagles out, by the way.
Yeah.
People.
Oscar's still doing Eagles games, by the way. He'll still be the best broadcaster for the Eagles this year with Ricky.
All right. So we'll get Ricky and Oscar back for the Spanish broadcast of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's always a positive. And again, at Jeff Kerr, PHL, make sure you follow our buddy on the X platform, si.com/NFL/Eagles. Krause, you'll jump back in, and Jeff I'll check in, see what you can do next week. Hopefully we get you a little bit of a quirky schedule coming up because of the 4th of July. I'll talk to you, so I'm not going to say happy 4th of July, but you can say happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July. And, man, we got 2 weeks to the All-Star game. I cannot wait. This is going to be a fun month.
250. Philadelphia's getting everything. World Cup. And by the way, Philadelphia's coming off beautifully in the World Cup compared to other cities.
Oh, the link did a great job. I'll say that. Now, I will say they need to, and again, they need to improve their restrooms, but outside of that, they've done a good job.
Yeah. All right. Well done.
The stadium's also 24 years old, so what are you going to do?
Except now the parking is still $150, but I digress.
Hey, we got in and out on Thursday. No, did not take SEPTA. Everybody took SEPTA.
All right.
But the bullet, I went a bunch of people, so 150 wasn't that much.
150 on I guess if you got a clown car, it's not that much. But unless you're piling 15 people in there, it's too much. And they shouldn't do that.
How about 6?
It's still too much with 6 people. That's
I know.
In my opinion, whatever political party can fix hostage pricing. This is one of my bullet points when I do run for king. I will eliminate hostage pricing.
Wait, why king? Why not?
Because I don't want to be president. I want to be king.
Well,
I want to be able to decree things.
What about I'm trying to think of another royal term for you. Not king. I for some reason I have Monsignor in my head. I'm like, no, that's something different.
No, that's religion. Definitely not in that category.
No,
but yeah, I look, airports, sporting events, that the fact that people can hostage price you to death, it's awful. It's awful.
You know what that was the word I was thinking of. Sovereign or monarch.
And I don't even have to pay for this stuff, but it annoys me that they take advantage of fans. It annoys me.
Oh, it does. Yeah, the fans lose every time. Every time. When millionaires and billionaires fight, the fans lose. Period.
And the concession prices, I've seen some of those.
Oh God. We ain't get anything at the game.
All right, buddy.
I'll see you.
And we'll bring Joe Krause back into the program. Birds 365. A lot of tangents there, Joe.
Johnny Mac, I just want to provide some clarity on the parking.
All right, let's hear it.
Parking is controlled by the city.
Oh, I know that. I'm not blaming the Eagles.
Yeah.
I'm saying just in general, the idea of hostage pricing, that's what I call it. And this could be in airports. It can be when you can't go anywhere, they jack up the prices on you. Could be hotels when there's a big event in town, they jack up the pricing. Super Bowl, for instance. And obviously that's not the NFL. Somebody's got to solve that. It's just, it's hurting the fans. That's who you're hurting. $150 to park is not, when it's bad enough. I don't even know what it is. Maybe some of the fans could say what the parking is for an average Eagles game, but it's up to like 40 probably. I'm guessing maybe more, which is bad enough. But you have a big event like that and it's $40 or $50 or whatever it is, and then it turns into $150 just because that to me that should be illegal. And when I'm king of the world, it will be.
Well, yeah, and it's not only by the way, it's not only the link right across the street at the Wells. Well, I don't even know.
It's everywhere. It's it's every city, it's every venue, no matter who's in charge of it. They take advantage of it. They take advantage of the situation.
From what many have told me, it used to be that you could pull into the parking lot with your tailgate vehicle and you paid a, I don't know, premium price because your vehicle was larger than one spot. So let's just say your bus, your mini Eagles bus. My cousin Lou has a beautiful Eagles bus. Him and Joe P and all those guys go down every game. So that bus is it's not one of the big school buses. It's converted a smaller one. So that bus on a straight angle takes 2 parking spots. Well, then when you get out of the bus and you open up the tent and you set up the TV and you set up the grills and everything else, you're taking more spots. Well, now what has transpired is that you now are obligated to pay for all of those spots that come after you park if you're taking away other parking.
Well, that's fair. If you got an oversized vehicle, and it is, I think the oversized pricing was like $350. And if you are taking up spots, all right, it makes some sense that they have to pay more. But again, the starting line of whatever it is, $40, if you can do that for an Eagles game, you should be able to do it for the World Cup. But that's not the way of the world. And it's become acceptable to price gouge people for these big events. And I don't have all the answers, but if somebody could fix it, I will vote for them. So Josh Shapiro, if you're listening, if you can fix that, I will. I can't vote for you because I live in Jersey, but
Shapiro, and I don't think he's going to fix it.
No, he's not going to.
Well, listen, the city's going to say, and they're getting ready to say again when the conversation comes up about building a new stadium or putting a dome on the existing stadium and doing all the other upgrades and everything else, and the ownership group's going to want tax benefits and financial support to do all of that. The city's going to turn around and they're going to say, or the city, part of the formula is the revenue that the city can generate from that. And that's part of the process, fortunately or unfortunately. So if the team wants to self-fund and not take any dollars from the city, then they would have the ability to do that. That's why the Sixers wanted to move into the gallery and get more control of their own revenue and their own receivables versus the receivables that are controlled. But again, if the city's going to fund it, the city has to have an opportunity to be able to benefit from that outside of just who's coming to town and the taxes the athletes pay and everything else. It's a long funnel, John, that we'll never get to the bottom on.
No. Well, if anything was ever fixed by their increasing of funding, I would maybe acquiesce to that level of thinking. But let's be honest, and Philadelphia's hardly alone, but it has been one of the more corrupt cities in the country for a long time. And taxes get raised and the money doesn't go where it's supposed to be. It seems to never do. And that's just localized, but overall, they've done a good job, at least from the perception of the fans who have come to the city seem happy. And certainly compared to other cities who are hosting the World Cup, Philadelphia seems to be doing a good job. So I will give them credit, but this is a city that Disney wanted to come to at one point, and there was so much corruption. They said, you know what, screw this. And that's the mob, and ask George Anastasia and Willard Rouse, the developer. I mean, so much corruption in the history, driving businesses out. Yeah, I could go on a tangent of that we need a new show, Joe. We can do that show.
On that on JAKIB Media, on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Non-sports related.
Yeah.
And by the way, good topic. Special thanks to Jeff Kerr for jumping in there for the full, I think it was with you almost over an hour. So thanks to Jeff Kerr for doing that. Tank Bigsby will end on your 25th pick. So Tank Bigsby and let me make sure I get this correct. Tank Bigsby is player number 25.
Number 25, yes, Tank Bigsby.
And he is defined as the 25th best player.
Best pure football player on the Eagles, Tank Bigsby, number
in
25.
And the caveat to that is his ability to perform within his position or his responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. When he's asked to do what he's asked to do, how does he perform that job? And he's been a great runner in limited circumstance, not the biggest sample size in the world, but certainly has excelled. Needs to improve in his pass protection, his receiving ability to get more playing time, and we'll see if he can do that. Will Shipley's still going to be that guy probably, and it'll be interesting to see how the Eagles handle Saquon Barkley. I think my perception is that they will want him to carry the heavy workload again if he's capable of it. But if not, he's going to get more playing time. And I know a lot of people have called for that.
John, are you going to see him returning kickoffs and punts?
We only got 4 practices open in the spring, and they didn't do kickoff returns at all. So we were in the dark. Like there were a couple punt return drills, and we saw some of the guys. Now Britton Covey was injured. Cooper was doing a lot of it. James Prochet, who was a tryout player. And Elijah Moore got a few opportunities. So we got some punt return. We didn't get any kickoff return. So we're sort of in the dark. Now, you still have Will Shipley, who did it last year. And Tank could be involved. When they first traded for him, they talk about his ability to return kicks. The problem is he fumbled a couple of them or bobbled a couple of them, and they shut that down. So maybe with an entire training camp, he can get more comfortable with it. So it's a possibility, but that will be determined because we did not see one kickoff return drill over the spring.
It's very difficult as we come up to the 10 o'clock hour, and shout out to everyone being part of Birds 365 today. It's very difficult to become a good blocker when you suck at blocking. I mean, that's just that's not being disrespectful. That's just the reality. You either can do that or you can't. I don't think you can learn to become a good blocker if you can't do it. So that's my,
I don't know. I push back a little on that.
Unless you're willing to learn and go back to understanding the pure fundamental of how to block, the fundamentals of blocking.
Well, that's why I think you can improve. That's why I would push back, because a lot of these guys, Dallas Goedert's the perfect example of this. For those who don't know, when he was in college, he was such a playmaker. He was never asked to block at South Dakota State. Never. So nobody knew if he could block. That was one of the criticisms of him coming in. And he had a willingness to do it, a big frame, big, powerful guy, and he turned into a pretty damn good blocker. I think willingness is key. But you're right. You have to learn and that's where they are with Eli Stowers. He was not asked to block very much at Vanderbilt. He was a quarterback 3 years ago. So they utilized his athleticism in the passing game. Now, he's got the frame. Does he have the willingness like Dallas Goedert? Maybe, maybe not. The Eagles think he does. So maybe he can develop into a Dallas Goedert level of blocker earlier in his career when Dallas was good at it. Maybe. But that'll probably take a year or two. So for the people hoping he gets on the field quickly, well, I think they'll have some packages to try to take advantage of his athleticism in the passing game. But I don't think he's going to play as much as people think, because right now he's not up to speed as a blocker.
All right, good stuff today from Johnny Mack here on Birds 365 across the JAKIB Sports Network. June 29th, tomorrow, June 30th, closes the book on the month of June, leads us into the big celebration all weekend.
It's going to be hot, too. Everybody stay cool, man.
Yep, it is going to be hot for sure. And then on the other side, the countdown begins after the 4th of July weekend into next week, and then you start to zero in on the countdown. Quickly, Johnny Mack, is tomorrow number 24? You'll release number 24 tomorrow.
Yeah, number 24 is coming out tomorrow. It rotates each day. Jeff does one. He did the Tank Bigsby story. Ed is up tomorrow, Ed Kratz, with number 24. I'll be up on Wednesday with number 23, and we'll continue that rotation until we get to number 1.
Great stuff. Thanks, everyone, for being with us here on Birds 365. Special thanks to Jeff Kerr and, of course, John McMullen, who has reached a status in the Philadelphia market where at some point he will transition his incredible skill of covering the birds into perhaps ridding the city of high parking fees for fans down at Lake. It's a nice thought, John. If it never happens, at least you put it out there.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think you need somebody with a little bit more political power, but that's the problem. The people that have that political power, they don't want to utilize it for the betterment of their constituency.
Hence, the Indiana Bears. We'll see what happens. Thanks, Johnny Mack. Thank you, JAKIB Nation. Don't forget, Eagles Daily comes out today at 12. The National Football Show with Dan Cilio is from 2 to 6. I'm Joe Krause. See you next time.
Imagine for a moment that you went to work today, and when you came home, you were catastrophically injured. Your life and your family's life. That's what happened to union construction worker Mike Little.
I was scared of what the end was going to be, but to be 100% honest with you, I knew I was going to be all right just by talking with Brian. In my heart, I just knew everything was going to be all right.
Call the firm and find out why they say, "We got this." Call 215-458-2222.